Whenever you're ready.
Okay. So next up, we have Jeanne Schumacher. Jeanne earned her doctorate in science and education and has taught chemistry, biology, and environmental science for over 30 years. A follower of a plant-based diet since 2009, she has earned her plant-based nutrition certificate through Cornell University. That is the online university for Cornell, and completed her additional coursework by experts in this facet of nutrition. She is a firm believer in walking the walk and is committed to inspiring people to change their health through whole foods, plant-based lifestyle, as well as reducing exposure to toxins in their life. Jeanne currently runs Simply Plant-Based, a plant-based online education program. Today, she will guide you through a plant-based boot camp covering the basics of transitioning to a plant-based diet. Jeanne.
Thank you. It is so great to be here. Thank you so much. And I'm honored to be able to present to you because for me, my journey started with a trip to the emergency room. I had 105-degree fever. My blood pressure was about 250 over 150. I should have had a stroke. I don't know why I didn't, but I survived it. And they never did find out what was wrong. I really don't care. I was sick. And the woman who was treating me was not only a medical doctor, but she was a nutritionist as well, which is pretty rare in this day and age. So how do I begin? Where do I start? Because doc, you told me I need to start this, and you've got 10 minutes with your doc, and that's it. How do I begin? It's kind of overwhelming when you think about how to transition and change, because you're changing pretty much what you've learned for the last 50 years of your life in the SAD diet, you know, the standard American diet, SAD for short. So how do we begin? Well, it's the food. That's the bottom line. And if you go to the CDC website, you're going to see some of the highest diseases: heart disease, cancer, stroke, Alzheimer's. I think that's, for me, one of my biggest fears is I'm going to get dementia or Alzheimer's. And I don't want that. I want my last days to be out kayaking on Cape Cod and biking on the trails. My grandfather was the radio operator for the Marconi station in Wellfleet, so my roots go back here, and I'm looking forward to. And here's a secret. Shh, shh. In Falmouth, we're going to be starting a plant-based educational retreat. So I'm really excited about that. So the food, it's the food. So let's go with the food. Help. It's the food. Yep, there it goes. Okay, there we go. It's the food. And in your packet, I made a beautiful handout, and you've got some recipes that are going to be there. I give you 4 basic recipes, and I've got a whole bunch of things. I'm a teacher, so I have laminated up here, and you can come take pictures and help yourself of this. So today I'm going to be doing 3 demonstrations here right now. I've got, this is a steamer. And this is amazing. You can get this at Kohl's or Bed Bath & Beyond. And right now I started steaming the rice. This is arborio rice. And typically when you make a risotto, you're using fat, butter, cream to cook the rice. Not today. So we're going to use steam, and we're steaming the rice to cook this arborio rice. So I've got this going right now. This is the base is just filled with water, and it's creating a steam, and it's cooking the rice. So this is going to take a little bit of time, but I have a 2-tiered, this is 2 tiers, and I'm going to stick the peas in about 50 minutes, and I'm going to put the peas in here and heat the peas up. So this is just a bag of your, frozen peas from Whole Foods. And so we'll come back to that one. This one's cooking and starting already. So over here, this is called an Instant Pot, and this is a game changer. This is totally, I suggest you not get one, get two, okay? I'm serious. Because for me, I batch cook on the weekends, and I have two of these going at all times. And so right now, and this, what's so awesome about this is you can open this up, and I've got this hot right now, but the liner comes out. And this is great. You can use it as a slow cooker. It cooks with steam. It cooks in a variety of different ways. So you can start with this by sauteing your onions if you wanted to, and cook right here in the pot without oil. You don't need oil. You don't need oil to cook. So I'm making, this is called Simply Stew. And so what I've done for the Simply Stew is I've taken the garlic. First of all, I used roasted garlic. And what I do is to roast the garlic, you just pull back some of the peels, the fiber, as much as you can get off. Put this whole clove in your oven on a tray, and I use silicone mats. Put this on this, cook it, and your house is going to smell amazing. And put this on, and for half an hour, about 350, 375, somewhere in there, for half an hour, and it's going to cook this, and it's going to make this so that it's not as pungent and bitter on your taste buds. So this is a roasted garlic right here, and then what I've done ahead of time, just for the sake of expediency, is I've put the garlic, the ginger, the turmeric, the 6 ounces of tomato paste, and some of the water and some of the veggie broth into this container already. And I added the measured dates. I use the dates. That's my emplacement of sugar or any kind of sugar in a recipe. I'll use those dates right there. So I've mixed all of this up. So now I'm going to put in the other pieces that go into the stew. So I've got this is just a butternut squash. And I thought I had scissors up here, but we'll just rip that open. And I started this cooking already, sauteing, just so that it's going to cook a little bit faster, because you want to bring it up to steam, the temperature. So I'm going to add that. I'm going to add the spinach as well. And adding that. These are lentils. There's 2 different types in here. There's a green lentil and then the red lentils. And what's so magical about the red lentils is that they are going to dissolve. And they become almost like a thickened piece in here. And this is going to be amazing. So we're just going to add these lentils straight into the pot. Okay. And I think that's everything. We've got some veggie broth that we're going to add to this. And I use some of the veggie broth in here in a blender, and I mix all this stuff up ahead of time in the blender. So when you're cooking this, you just put all this stuff in the blender, and it's amazing. I use my little Vitamix. So good stuff. So, and I recommend, this is called Field Day Organic. This is the low sodium vegetable broth. This is amazing in terms of flavor. You can get it at most places like Whole Foods, and if they don't carry it, you can ask them for it. But you have to be careful with a lot of these because a lot of these contain oil, and a lot of them are very high in salt. So I use that a lot. This is the magic ingredient. This is called Bear, and this is an incredible, incredible spice. If you've not tried this, this is a Mediterranean spice that is just absolutely incredible. So that's already been added to it, and the turmeric and the ginger. So I'm just going to go ahead and add my base here and add it to this. And it's that simple, okay? So I've added this to that, and I'm going to put the lid back on. And I'm going to turn that on. It makes a little happy noise when it's ready to go. And I'm going to turn that off, and then I'm just going to put it on manual. So manual. And it automatically goes by default to whatever you went to last time, and I cooked this stew a lot. And so it goes to 30 minutes. Now you walk away, and it does its own thing. So it's telling me I'm starting, I'm ready to go. And you want to make sure that the vent is closed because it's going to come up to pressure, and it's going to start steaming. And there's a variety of ways you can do and make this. So the Instant Pot is great because you can use this to make yogurt, cook beans, cook grains, all kinds of things. You can use it as a slow cooker, saute. So it's a game changer. Okay, so now we've got our dinner going. We've got the spring pea risotto. We've got the simply stew. Now for dessert. This recipe came as born out of sheer desperation. Because, we have this. I'll be the first to admit, hi, I'm Jeanne Schumacher. I'm a food addict. Okay, it's true. I've lost over 100 pounds. I've changed my health destiny. Okay, my blood pressure, I was on 4 different medications. My thyroid, my doctor basically looked at me in the eye and said, "You're going to be on thyroid medication for the rest of your life." No. And actually, I'll be in, Dr. Neil Barnard's got a new book coming out called Hormones Gone Haywire. And it's basically what happened with me. As I started my plant-based journey, I started releasing a lot of the toxins, and it started to shut my thyroid down. So I was put on medication, but then I was reversed because I went plant-based, and my thyroid started to heal itself. So it's absolutely amazing. The human body is incredible in terms of how you can actually heal. So if you come to my house is clean. I made it my wellness center, and I'll talk a little bit about that. And, but there's always that, I call it the inner raccoon. The inner raccoon comes out, and if you've ever seen a raccoon is going to get whatever it wants, whatever way, shape, or form. It's going to get into whatever, because it's got these little great hands, and they can manipulate and pick locks and get in windows and climb chimneys, and they're amazing. And they can find that food. And so my house is pretty clean, but I keep going back to those cupboards, hoping that there was a nut or something that I missed along the way. And, I'm hoping that I'll find something. There's nothing. So this recipe was born out of sheer desperation in terms of, I gotta have something. I gotta cook. I want a cookie. And I'm not getting in my car and going to the store. Nope. So I took some bananas. Let me introduce you to the other game changer, air fryer. If you've not heard of one of these, amazing. And I recommend for the air fryer. This is on the base part of this. This is the Phillips. And on this, it's got these bottom ridges. I don't know if you can see the ridges or not, but I test drove several of these others, and these does not cook as well. I mean, the others don't cook as well as the Phillips. And this is a trademark or whatever, but it's got these ridges on the bottom, so it changes the airflow and how things cook. So this is absolutely amazing. So this is going to be, we're going to put, these are going to be banana oat balls. And if you have grandchildren or you're just a chocolate addict, take a tablespoon of those vegan chocolate chips, throw those in there. That'll take it to Jedi level. Yeah. So I'm going to take my bananas, and I'm just mashing them with a fork, okay? And you want the ripest bananas, just when they're starting to look, the yellow, ugly, and you're like, ooh, yuck. My husband's like, no, I don't want those, And these are the perfect. This is the perfect banana that you're going to want. So you're just going to mash those up. And I love extracts because extracts add flavor without adding sugar or anything else. And especially one of the things you want to avoid is like coconut milk, things like that, especially in a lot of Indian dishes. Very high in saturated fats. We want to avoid those saturated fats. So one of the things I do is I use almond milk, and then I have this great coconut extract to give the flavor, but not the fat. So we're going to add a little bit of the coconut extract. My husband absolutely adores coconut. So coconut goes to a lot of things in our house. And this is a little vanilla extract. So I'm just going to add a little bit of these extracts just to give it a little bit more of a liquid to it. And my favorite is maple extract, which just gives to me this, nice, you smell it and you're like, oh, this is awesome. I love this. So I add a little bit of maple extract. And my best favorite is pumpkin pie spice. Not going to lie. Trader Joe's, I buy it by the case. Don't go behind me in Trader Joe's because I like wipe out shelves. Okay, so you don't want to get behind me. So I'm going to sprinkle some of this on here. And I'm going to mix that in. And so it's just creating like a little bit of a mush. basically. And then I'm going to add some oats to this. These are just plain old-fashioned Quaker oats. So I'm adding it by handful at a time. Now I don't measure, okay? I just kind of add, and things work out well. So, and I'm just going to keep adding until the texture gets to the point where it is, I can roll it into a ball. And like I said, this recipe was born out of sheer desperation for a cookie or something sweet. So this just met my, requirements without question. So, okay, so I've got that mushed around enough. Now I'm going to roll it into little oat balls, okay? And I'm putting those into my air fryer. So, alrighty. And, alrighty. So, oh, and God said, let there be light. Alrighty. So, and I make these about the size of a golf ball, and they're, you can make them a little bit smaller or you can make them bigger, depending upon what you want. But what is so delicious, and I tried this to do this because I was making this for a cooking demonstration, what I was doing for a potluck, and I was going to make a bunch of these. So I cooked them in the oven, and it doesn't work the same. The air fryer, I'm telling you, is a magical piece of equipment. And it just really crisps up on the outside and makes it soft and chewy on the inside. And it doesn't happen that way in the oven. They really get dried out, and they were like dust balls. And I'm like, really? No, sorry. That doesn't work. No, we'll try this again. Okay, so now we've got our nice little balls, and I've got some water here just to rinse off. Okay, so now I'm just going to put this on for 10 minutes. That's it. 10 minutes in here. And they have two now. Can't see it. So they have two. This is the older model, and it's just got the dial on top. Now they're coming out with the digital version, and you don't need to. So if you can still get this, this version, this is going to be a game changer in your house, especially because I love French fries. French fries, I live on French fries. So this is a way I can cook French fries without the oil. So without question. Okay, so we've got these things cooking now, and I just want to talk a little bit about this right here. This is called Bima and Paws. I met this woman at the plant stock, which was at Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn's farm, and they had that for about 6 years on their farm that's featured in the movie Forks Over Knives. And if you've not seen that movie, Forks Over Knives, that's your homework for tonight. Go home, find it, watch it. It's a game changer. So there's all kinds of other good movies, What the Health, Eating You Alive, all good movies. But I met this woman, and she has these infused balsamic vinegars. This is my absolute favorite. Pineapple. My second is racy mango. Oh, so good. But you drizzle a little bit of this. You steam some kale. Okay, kale is superfood, but in terms of flavor, it's kind of rough. Especially try to eat as much kale as we need to eat, okay? Drizzle a little bit of this on, game on, okay? This is amazing. So, and they just came out. She just sent me a new one. This one's sesame ginger, and I use this when I'm stir frying. I'll just drizzle some of this on it. Oh, so good, delicious. They came out with a new flavor. She came out with dill pickle, and I was like, really? So she sent me a little sample of it, and I tasted it and went, oh, dill pickle. This is going to be good. I can't wait to play with that one. So, all right. So let's get back to our presentation while these guys are cooking. And you might be able to smell this bad boy as it's starting to waft out, and it makes the house just smell delicious. I mean, like down home cooking, like, wow, that is awesome. What are you cooking? It just perfumes the house. So, okay. So now we've been cooking with food. All right. So what is whole food, plant-based living? I'm so glad you asked. You guys are great. It's basically eating fruits, vegetables, your starches. And starches? I can have starch? Yes, you can. Starches are amazing. But it's usually the company that starches keep, like the potato and the sour cream and the butter. No, we want to get rid of that stuff. And then you can use other things to top your potatoes with. And I love starch. But it's not the centerpiece, but I mean, the fruits and vegetables, big time, okay? And legumes, things like that. So that's what we're looking for. And this is just, I wanted to put a couple pictures up there for you to see kind of what, and we're very visually attracted to this food. I mean, it just resonates with our eyes. Because if you go back in terms of evolution, our eyes, we have this finite range of colors. And we're focused on those colors to help us survive in nature. So it's also easier to kind of talk about what plant-based is not. But when I win lotto, that's my car. Just saying, okay? That's a 19, my brother will argue with me, why do you want a 69? Why don't you go for a 57? That's a better car. That's my car, okay? Fabulous car. Kerosene, amazing fuel. Amazing. But if you put kerosene in that car, I will cry because you're going to kill that engine and that car won't run anymore. And that's kind of what we're doing is we're putting the wrong fuel into our bodies, okay? So basically that's anything with a mother or a face, okay? Meat, fish, dairy, eggs, highly refined foods. Because I know a lot of vegans that are fat and unhealthy, okay? Why? Because they're eating a lot of processed foods, and there's a lot of processed stuff that's come out. They've got this new meat thing called Beyond Meat, if you guys have seen this. Oh, you start looking at the specs on these bad boys, okay? It's very processed, very high. And if you've ever read the book, there's a book out there called Fat, Sugar, Salt by Michael Moss, who's a Pulitzer Prize journalist, researcher. And he did a research on the food industry. And basically kind of what the cigarette industry did to us when they started adding a bunch of nicotine to the cigarettes to make us more addicted, the food industry is upping the amount of fat, sugar, and salt, okay? And as the doc pointed out about the sodium, okay, as you start to change your life and change your body, I think of it as peeling back layers of an onion. And each layer, you're starting to learn and identify within your body. And I didn't realize that I am extraordinarily salt sensitive. I can't have salt at all in any way, shape, or form, in even processed foods. I don't cook with it, number one, but I don't use things that have salt in it if at all possible to avoid it. A lot of times I'll make my own veggie broth just so I don't have even that little bit of salt in there. And I get blood pressure headaches. I'm one of the rare ones because when your blood pressure goes up, you don't feel it. I do. I get blood pressure headaches. And I went to a restaurant and got a cup of soup. 1 cup, 8 ounces. And I had that and a salad. And I didn't get out to the car. I thought my head was going to split open. And it was so bad. And I Googled it. That was 56% of my daily nutritional requirement for salt in that 8 ounces. And I'm like, oh my God, I wouldn't eat that in a month. And I ate it in 1 cup. And my head, I thought, was going to explode open. So basically, we're talking about excluding refined sugars and oils. But my extra virgin cold pressed olive oil, what about that? Heart healthy, right? No, okay? I don't care if it was pressed by virgins on the 7th solstice of the 7th month. No oil. Basically, it's going to sludge your blood, okay? And I saw this. My son was a wrestler. And if you've ever had anybody wrestle, you know how aerobic that sport is. And he transitioned from 9th grade to 10th grade. We went plant-based at that point. And I would never give him money to buy out of from the food, stuff like that. He had to eat out of my cooler. And so it was all plant-based. And I never saw him. One of the things I would see his competitors doing was this. Because as soon as they are cardiac and they couldn't breathe, their chests are just like heaving, and they can't breathe. And what they do is they involuntarily put their arms over their heads to try and stretch their lungs so they can get more oxygen into their and give a chance to their body to recover. My son never did that. In all the years from when he went plant-based from that point on, I never saw him. Oh my God, he was incredible. He really was. Okay. So what about supplements? Well, my son, going back to him, he played the baritone in middle school. It was painful. Oh my God. It was just, Papa, papa. I mean, he had the theme from Jaws down, Donna, Donna. I mean, that was it. That was all he could play. But when he got into the symphony, I was like, that's my kid? That doesn't sound like what's in the basement. It's once you start to take the baritone out and have to listen to it on the side, it's like, oh my God. And that's what's happening, is because these foods work like a symphony in our body. So if you take things out of it, it's not going to work the same way that it is. Like if you have vitamin C and you're eating an orange, you're getting the fiber, you're getting the phytonutrients, you're getting all of these things that are in that orange, and they're working together synergistically. So if you take it out as a supplement, it's not going to work the same way. And a lot of times, the fiber is not there. Now I'm a chemistry teacher, so I'll take Cheerios, and I'll grind it up into mortar and pestle, and I'll put it in with a magnetic stir. And literally, I'll take the magnet out, and there's the iron. Iron fortified. Literally. Like you just took your 57 Chevy and ground it up into iron filings and put it into the Cheerios. Okay. So I don't recommend, any kind of except the only thing we can't get from this is B12. So I take once a week. I have a sublingual spray that's for B12 to help me, and that's it. And because we live in an area that doesn't get a lot of sunshine, especially this time of the year, then I check my blood to make sure, and you want to check with your doctors, but I check and make sure, see what my levels of vitamin D are, and then if I need it, if they're low, then I'll take a vitamin D supplement. But that's it. We don't need anything else. And we've kind of been brainwashed. Oh my God, we got to have a multivitamin. No, you don't. I just saved you a lot of money. Forget the supplements. You don't need them. It's the food. And your body is going to change, and change very quickly, and within 10 days. And I've been doing a lot of, get your cell phones out right now. Get your cell phones out. Go on Facebook. Go to Plant-Based Cape Cod, okay? Connect with me, all right? And I've done a lot of 10-day challenges, and we've actually started Plant-Based Your Town, and we've got Plant-Based Providence. And I think there's a couple people from Plant-Based Providence that are here that have come to join. And you're going to start to see changes within your body very quickly, and you have to work with your doctor. So we did a lot of these 10-day challenges, and within 10 days, you're going to start to see changes happening. And especially if you're on high blood pressure medications or you're diabetic, your medications are going to change and change so quickly, okay? Within 10 days, literally. So you have to be prepared, and you're going to have to, teach your doctor. Because most of the doctors, unless you come here, these doctors are clearly educated. But I had to educate mine, And I would walk in and would hand her and say, okay, this is what I want you to read. I want, and I had to educate her. I've got her broken in, so we're good. But anyway, but you're going to have to work with your doctor, especially if, as your body starts to change. And I suggest you get a good blood work base. And whatever the best blood work that you can afford. Some people, their insurance will cover, but I just did a whole huge panel of blood work on myself that was absolutely amazing. And it just really was an eye-opener, but I had to pay for it out of my own pocket. And it was several $100s. So whatever you can afford, get the best blood work and work with your doctor, and you're going to see changes happening so quickly. It's incredible. And you're going to need some support going through this. Because like any journey, you're going to have these hidden hills and valleys and dips and potholes in the road, and you're going to go off the path and deviate, and you're not going to feel well, and there's changes. And once your body starts to go through these changes, you're going to release a lot of toxins that's going to be built up in that fat that you've been carrying around for a while. Yeah, those become really great fat storehouses of toxin chemicals that you've been building up. And I'm really adamant about these toxins. You have to embrace this and know that this change is coming, because you're going to feel crappy. You're going to feel like, oh, I feel like I'm coming down with a cold or a flu or something. And you have to understand, or pimples or rashes, things like that can happen. So find help. Okay, there's the National Health Association. They have been promoting a plant-based diet since the 1950s, which is absolutely amazing. They're an amazing association. Plant Pure Nation, and if you're not familiar with Plant Pure Nation, Dr. T. Colin Campbell, his son Nelson, wrote or created a video called Plant Pure Nation. And at the end of that movie, he created what he called a call to action, that we have to change. We can't do this from the top down. We have to do it from a grassroots movement. And he challenged people to become pod leaders and create groups in their own areas. And right now I live in New York, but I'm going to be moving to Cape Cod. And I've already started Plant-Based Westchester, and I'm going to start Plant-Based Cape Cod. There's already a website, plantbasedcapecod.net. Check that out. But this is from Plant Pure Nation. They have food that's already whole food plant-based, that's frozen, that comes to your door. Because I hear people, I don't have time to cook. Okay. Order these. These are amazing. Husband approved. My husband's going, yep. Because there's times when I don't have time to cook or we go on the road, and I'll use these. These little things fit perfectly in, it's called the Mini Hot Logic, and I forgot to bring that, but the Mini Hot Logic, you can sit it, and we plug it into the car. You know, they've got a converter that you can plug into the cigarette lighter, and then as we travel, then we don't have to stop and eat, because I can't eat out. I just can't anymore. I mean, we'll find a couple places that will cater to me, and I know that they're not doing it, but we'll go out to places and they say, yeah, no salt, and they put salt in it, and I can feel it. My blood pressure will go up very quickly. So if you've not seen these are amazing. The foods are incredible. So these come frozen to your door. You can order in 5, 10, 20 packs and go from there. But I've also started a program to help for support, because it's hard when you're doing this and to know what changes. And food addiction is real. It is so real. And it's hard for some people to give up some of the foods. And so what most people think, oh, I can't give up my cheese, okay? And there's a great book by Dr. Neil Barnard called The Cheese Trap, which she showed. And actually, if you don't want to read it or don't have time, if you go on my website, Simply Plant Based, I've broken his book down with Dr. Barnard and got to spend time asking him questions. And so I took him through we broke it down into 5 sections of the video. So that's the Reader's Digest condensed version. But I strongly recommend you read the book because, oh my God, if you can eat cheese after that, God bless you. Because when you realize how bad cheese is, wow, it is. It's so bad. Anyway, so I started a program called Simply Plant-Based Beginnings that's going to start at the beginning of each month that walks you through the foundation of a plant-based education. So I teach you, there's recipes, I cook, I show you how to do this. We connect on Sunday nights for a coaching call to help you guide you through. And then after you graduate, then you can go on to continuing education, and that picks right up where Plant-Based Beginnings leaves off. So, all right, so how do I begin? I'm so glad you asked. You gotta go clean out the house. You've got to go to the refrigerator. You got to take it all that crap out and throw it away. Don't give it to your friends. No, throw it away, okay? And make your home, your kitchen, your wellness center, seriously, okay? You have to do that. And because it's so important in terms of you taking charge of your health destiny without question. So what do I do after I've cleaned it out? Well, you got to restock. And so I put a list into the handouts that you have, okay? There's a list there that shows you what you should stock your house with. Please fill, and don't feel you have to get it all at once, okay? It's a progression, but I gave you a list of things that you want to work towards, okay? And so in my fridge at any given time, you'll find and I do a lot of batch cooking on the weekend with my Instant Pots. Just saying. And if you're going to buy Instant Pots, buy them at the same time because they change a little bit over time. And so like the first Instant Pot and the second one I bought were different, so that I brought that one up to my house up on Cape Cod, left that one there, and I have my other 2 back at my house in Westchester. So I will have these bad boys going all weekend long. And I'll be cooking and creating all kinds of things. Like, for example, I have some kind of bean in my fridge at all times, some kind of grain. My absolute favorite grain is kamut, K-A-M-U-T. Delicious. It's like a chewy, barley, nutty flavor awesomeness. And I use that as a base for a lot of different things. So I'll have beans, grains, cooked potatoes. Potatoes then become what's called resistant starch once you cook them and put them in the refrigerator. And it's harder to digest, so it's less calories that you're eating, and it's amazing. So some kind of salsa or dressing, and I'll keep potatoes, some kind of root vegetables I'll keep cooked at all times. So I can pull that stuff out and make a dinner in 10 minutes, easily, okay? From all of these things I've already pre-cooked, I'm just basically heating up. And then you sprinkle things like this on top, deliciousness, sesame ginger, saying, okay. So what do I put? So that's in my fridge. In the freezer, I'm gonna have things like, oh my God, love Trader Joe's. Their shredded hash browns, oh, so good. You can make some amazing things. I make potato waffles that are to die for. And my videos, if you go on Simply Plant-Based, there is a link on there that says recipes. These are all cooking videos that I made for you guys. And then if you go to the YouTube channel that the video is on, the recipe's right there. You can copy and paste it, knock your socks off, okay? So shredded hash browns make amazing potato waffles. Oh, so good. Crispy, crunchy, and you bite that crunch. I love that crunch. I mean, that is awesome. So a couple other things I'll find in my freezer. You're gonna see ginger, okay, that's in the bottom middle, and then some turmeric. Both of those are amazing flavors that are, especially the turmeric, anti-inflammatory, amazing. Truly, truly amazing. And then I'll keep things like citrus. I'll put lemons and limes in the freezer, and then I'll grate those bad boys and use things like this. Forget those zesters, too fine. I go for coarse and chunk, this one's good and then chunkier. And I'll make things that are just incredible in terms of flavor. That lemon, I'll do the whole thing. I'll use that whole lemon and zest that. It has such amazing flavor. It's just so incredible. And then these are just some great, I keep these things in my freezer, especially berries. Berries, you definitely want to make sure. Those are, gave you a list from the EWG, the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. The Dirty Dozen are things you definitely want to make sure you're buying organic. Berries are one of them. That's my new crack. I love, love berries, okay? So I'm addicted to them. And I'll make a big berry bowl. So I'll take a little bit of oats, put oats in the bottom, and then I'll put my berries, and I put raspberries, which when they're, after they unfreeze, they turn into mush, okay? And then I'll put some blueberries and blackberries on top, and then they unfreeze, and that the liquid just comes out and permeates the oats. Then I'll take some this with some lemon and zest the lemon peels on that. The lemon peels is amazing for reducing cancer, okay? And so I'll add that, and I'll add some lemon juice and a little bit of water to the oats, and I'll add a bunch of other things to it, some like hemp seeds, chia seeds, things like that, just so I can get some more of my amino acids in there. Okay, so that's in the freezer. In my pantry, I've got Bima and Paz. I love these. That's in the upper left-hand corner. I'm not a big fan of, the canned beans, but I'll keep them around if I need to do a cooking demonstration and take it, or, if I need a certain kind of bean and I wasn't cooking that this week, it's good to have that there. I love Trader Joe's. They have a fire-roasted tomato salsa, which is just incredible, and it's no salt. So it's hard to find things without salt because salt is in everything. It really is. My husband and I went out to a restaurant, and thank goodness the line was long, because it was one of those restaurants where you can go in and I want the beans, I want the rice, I want the salsa. It was a Mexican restaurant. And I'm sitting there, I went on and got my phone out because I was bored and waiting in line. And I Googled what I was going to have, and I looked at the amount of salt, and I went, oh, I can't eat here. This will kill me. I mean, it will kill me. Because it would put me, my blood pressure would have been so high just from that one meal. And I said, we can't eat here, and we had to leave. And bless my husband, he puts up with me. But he also has reverse multiple sclerosis. So just want to point that out. So that's huge, huge. So, yeah. So I use applesauce in place of oil in baking. Use that. Date sugar, if I have to use it in baking, you can't use that like in a cup of tea or something, because it just doesn't work as like sugar, it doesn't dissolve. But it does bake well if you have to use that in sugar for baking. And it's not that processed. So it's just basically ground up dates that are kind of fine, tiny small pieces. And then garlic and potatoes, oats. Those are just some of the basic things. Spices are going to be your new best friend. Be bold. My husband definitely is considering intervention at this point because I've become a hoarder of spices. So, and I love trying out new spices all the time. My favorite, absolute favorite, is Bear. And it's a Ethiopian mixture. You can get it at Whole Foods, but there's a recipe for it in Kim Campbell's cookbook, Plant Pure Nation cookbook. And she's got a recipe that makes Bear and has salt-free for her recipe. So that is an amazing, amazing addition. Okay, so what about gizmos and gadgets? What do I gotta get? Okay, well, you gotta invest in some pans. So on here, I love Swiss Diamond. They're a little bit expensive, but I've been buying a piece at a time. And honestly, I will be giving those pans to my great-grandchildren because they're amazing in terms of how tough they are and durable, and nothing sticks to them. You don't need oil at all in any way, shape, or form. Now, ceramic pans, you can go to like Walmart and buy a ceramic pan, and those are pretty good. But here's the problem, being the science teacher that I am. You've got two different expansion rates. You've got a lining of ceramic, and it expands and contracts at different rates than the aluminum underneath. And so what happens is over time, that aluminum is going to start flaking, or the ceramic is going to start flaking off. And you're going to be exposed to aluminum. And aluminum is not something you want in your diet, okay? Just saying. So anyway, I just want to go back to this. We had the banana oat balls, and I just want to show this to you because, let me show you a little shot. Let's see if we can get this picture right here. Okay, so in this, if you can, oh, there we go. Don't want to drop any, they're too good. Okay, but these are absolutely amazing, and they're nice and crispy and crunchy, and they're moist and hot and deliciousness, and especially if you take them out and they've got the little chocolate chips in there. Oh yeah, we're taking it to Jedi level then. But this is still really, really good, okay? Deliciousness. So I just wanted to show you what that came out of the air fryer. Amazing. So that was born out of sheer desperation. So in terms of food. We've got our risotto going, and I think that's almost ready to add the peas shortly. And we've got the Instant Pot that's still over here. It's cooking. I don't know, how many minutes does it have left? 26? Okay. So what's happening is it went to pressure, and now it's at full pressure. So this is acting now as a pressure cooker. And so once it goes back to, and it will make a little happy sound when it's done, and then it has to release its pressure and go back down, okay? So, the 30 minutes is really probably about an hour of cooking time because it takes time to bring it up to pressure. And if you have it warmer, it'll go up to pressure very much quicker than when it has to start from being cold. So, okay, we'll go back to our presentation now. So Swiss Diamonds are amazing pans, and they're just incredible to use. The ceramic works, and if that's all your budget can afford, that's great. But over time, you're going to have to replace those pans. So this, if you can just start to buy them, these are amazing pans. I love this, and this is just something really, really simple. This comes from, you can get it at Bed Bath & Beyond. I get it on Amazon too. But this is just it cuts the onions and things like that. I use this pretty much on a daily basis. When you're trying to cut up things, they are usually big and bulky and hard to store. This is flat and it fits in my drawer. Makes it super easy. These are silicone mats, and these, you take those, roll those out, and put them on a cookie sheet. You need no oil. Nothing will stick to these bad boys. So I use them for everything, for baking. Like I'll put the garlic on it, and it just sits there, and it's wonderful. You make cookies. You don't need oil. You don't have to use the, I used to use the vegetable shortening, right, and grease your pans. Nope, no more, okay? You can get those on Amazon. Bed Bath & Beyond has them as well. So those are a good choice to use. The air fryer, I can't say enough about the air fryer. I love this. Um, my French fries, I'm addicted to them. So I usually make them at least 3 or 4 times a week. I just love them. And they're crunchy and they taste just like regular French fries. So I don't feel deprived. And I think a lot of people think that, 'cause people, when when they find out I'm plant based, so it's like, so what are you eating? Like grass clippings, bark? What are we talking here? I'm like, no, that's just for special occasions. um, but no, the food, the variety of the food is just amazing. And I think what it is you're just trying to figure out what is it that you really love? What dish, that you really love? Like, I love French fries. So the big issues with the French fries were the oil and the salt. So I found a way that I can still have my French fries and not have the oil and the salt. So it's just learning strategies and ways that you can transition into this lifestyle. Okay, so the air fryer has been a wonderful choice, and especially if you're in a small place, and especially in the summertime when you don't want to turn the oven on, this doesn't heat up the house that much. So I don't know if you guys could smell the banana oat balls as they were cooking. Yeah, that's what your house smells like. It's awesome. It's really awesome. So this is the Instant Pot, and I can't say enough about the Instant Pot. It's amazing in terms of the variety of things that you can cook. They have a smaller one, and Eric Adams, who is the Brooklyn Borough president, his story is fabulous. And if you go on my website under videos, I've done a lot of interviews with people, and he's one of them. And he had such bad diabetes. He was blind in one eye, and he was going blind in the other eye, and he had such bad neuropathy that his feet, he was having a hard time walking. And then he had such bad intestinal issues as well. He had burnt like his esophagus, from the acid reflux that he was continually dealing with. And he went plant-based, and not only is his sight completely restored, the neuropathy's gone, okay? His story is just absolutely incredible. If you touch him, you go up and touch him and say, how's it going? It's like touching a brick wall. He's superpower, this man. And he's actually running for New York mayor. And I hope he wins, because he's been doing a lot of amazing things in the school systems. He's been getting plant-based foods and choices available. And he's been working to create, public health programs to promote plant-based in terms of medical programs. So he's just done super amounts. But then his mother, who had been diabetic for over 30 years, okay, on insulin and medications for over 30 years, she went plant-based after seeing her son go through this miraculous change, and within 4 months was off all of her medications that she had been on for 30 years. So it's just amazing how when we actually put the right fuel into the body, how quickly the body can heal. So Instant Pot, game changer in terms of cooking and having food prepared ahead of time, because if you go out, and I carry my food with me at all times. I have a cooler with me. I take it, and if you follow me on Instagram or Twitter, I show what's in my cooler today. And you can see what I'm eating. And some people say, oh my God, do you eat all of that? Sometimes more, sometimes less. Depends upon my day and my body and how it's responding. And you're like, oh my God, but that's a lot of food. Yeah, it is. I eat a lot, but I still have lost over 100 pounds. Because once you learn the concept, it's called caloric density. Once you learn that concept and how you can dial down, it's amazing how your body responds, and you're putting the right nutrients into your body. So I spend several hours in the kitchen prepping for the week to make my week successful, because failure to plan is a plan for failure. Okay? If you're not preparing your food ahead of time, you're setting yourself up for failure. And let me tell you this little story. I was tutoring they called me up and said, could you come over? He's got a chemistry test. And it was a May Day. And I ended up spending several hours because he really needed help. And by the time I got out of there, I was hungry. I was just starving. So I was driving by and I went, oh, there's a bagel place. That's great. I'm just going to get a toasted wheat bagel. That's it. And I pulled in and I ordered my toasted bagel. And he's like, we have a new cream cheese, and it's got honey and almonds and walnuts and raisins and cinnamon. Do you want some? And I'm like, yes! And I said it like I was some kind of prisoner of war. I didn't even think. I mean, it was just a knee-jerk reaction. And he slathered it on there. It was a half an inch thick. And I ate it like I was just released from a concentration camp. And I was like, ah, ah, ah. And I got into the car, and I didn't even get 10 minutes down the road. I didn't even get home. And I felt like somebody had put a samurai sword through my stomach. And I'm like going, oh my God, oh my God. And I got home, and I'm like laying on the bed mooing. And my husband's like, what's wrong with you? Oh, I ate cream cheese. Oh my God. And have I eaten cream cheese again? No. And they call it McDougal's revenge, because once you start cleaning out your system and you eat off the plan, it's going to make you feel sick. And so that really cured me from cream cheese. Yeah. So anyway, Instant Pot, game changer, okay? Oh, we had a little ding. So that means we had 10 more minutes on this, okay? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add this on top, okay? And I'm just taking my bag of, this is my green peas, just from, Whole Foods. And I'm just gonna add some of this. And all we wanna do is just heat up the peas, just so that they're not, frozen super cold. So I'm just putting them into a bowl, and they're just gonna heat up with some of the heat from the rice. And we'll put that on for another 10 minutes or so. And what I used to make my risotto, now we got this rice going, we got the peas, okay? And I love at Trader Joe's, they have a raw peas, okay? If you've ever seen these, they're amazing. They're English peas, and they just come in a bag, and they're already pre-shelled and everything. They're so amazing. And I love eating those as my snack. But I also will cook and put them into the spring pea risotto. It takes it to the next level, okay? This is so good to eat. And when I make this dish and I take it to what I call the carnivores, that would be my family, okay? Because I'm the only one who's changed in my family and changed my health destiny. And my whole family on both sides are morbidly obese. And I'm not talking, when I say morbidly, I'm like, we're talking Jedi level, morbid. I mean, my brother's got to be over 400 pounds. My sister's gone through, she's been over 350, close to 400 pounds. She went through bariatric surgery and then lost all her weight and then gained it back. And now she's dealing with uterine cancer on top of that. So my whole family, from all five, there's 5 of us. I'm the only one who's not on, who's not dealing. All of them have sleep apnea. They are dealing with all kinds of health issues. So I'm surprised my sister's the first one who's had major issues, like with cancer. I'm surprised my family has not had more issues earlier on, and I'm surprised my family actually is still alive. My oldest brother's in his mid-70s. I'm the baby. So anyway, so we've got this going back, and we're adding this a little bit more heat. But to make the cream, to make the amazingness, this is called silken tofu. And I usually will buy this. They have it in shelf-stable packages. And what I'll do is I'll get this from Amazon. I'll just buy a box of it. And they have shelf-stable packages. I'm not a big fan of tofu, but I don't use it a lot. But when I take this, I'll take this to the carnivores. I have to make sure I get some, because they'll wipe it out. Okay, we're big foodies in our family, and they're like, this tastes really good. I don't tell them it's plant-based, and but I use silken tofu as the base. And then I use this. This is creamy dill dip. And what I do is I use this as the flavor packet, and I'll mix that with this with a little bit of almond milk. And that is now in this. And I'll put it in a blender and just mix it up to make it into a sauce. Now, you could use this for a variety of things. You can use it for potatoes and drizzle it over that. Oh, my God, so good. You could use it as like a mayonnaise, and thicken it so it's not as thick. So I wouldn't put like the almond milk if you wanted to make it as a mayonnaise. So you can use it in a variety of ways. You can dips, things like that. So this just makes a wonderful. So what we're going to do once this gets heated up a little bit is we're going to mix this with the rice and the peas. Oh my God, Jedi level, okay? So that is going to be some really good foods. All right, so back to our presentation. All right, you need to have a blender of some kind. Now, I love the Vitamix, because literally you can take shoe leather and break it down to the cellular level, okay? And it's such a high-powered blender. It's like 11 amps, okay? It's got power. I mean, it can take anything down to make things creamy, because I love, like, when I make soups and stuff like that, I like creamy soups. This will make it amazing. So you got to have a blender, but get whatever you can afford. There's some good ones out there that is not as expensive as the Vitamix, but you can do a lot with the Vitamix. I also have, over my stove, I have a pot rack. So it makes it just easier to access my pans, but also the pans, you don't want to nest them, okay? You don't want to nest them, the Swiss diamonds, because they can chip and whatnot. So I hang them up, okay? And it makes it just easier to have. So that's, you know, you don't have to have all of these things right away. I mean, I use other things, like I use glass Pyrex dishes, you know, for cooking. I use parchment paper a lot. I still use aluminum foil, but I don't let the aluminum foil touch my food. I put parchment paper down first, and then I'll use the aluminum like I'm making a lasagna or something like that. But those are some nice things. But please do, if you're on Facebook, connect with me. I have created Plant-Based Cape Cod on Facebook, and I've got my website, Simply Plant-Based. But I also wanted to share this with you. Starting September 2019, there's going to be a plant-based educational retreat in Falmouth. Okay, so I'm super excited about that. And it's going to be hands-on learning cooking and all kinds of experiences, because you have to go through what I call changes. You have to change what goes in, so that's food and drink. You have to change what goes on, so that's the environmental toxins. Literally in 26 seconds, anything you're putting on your skin is in your bloodstream. And there's a lot of chemicals that are out there that are, I could spend hours talking about that. But you have to change what goes in, you have to change what goes on, and then you got to exercise, as Amy said, right? So you got to exercise. You can't get around it. So we got to move. You got to move it, move it. Okay. So I hope you've learned a few things tonight. So